Okay, so we have a problem here about walking dogs. So we want to go ahead and do the problem statement for that. So we want to go into our CPT 114. By now you should have your Notepad++, and we'll go ahead and start that up. All right, now that that's started, and let me make it a little bit bigger. So this is our problem. I'm just going to go ahead and copy this from here and paste it into here so we can go from there. And then I'm going to, let's see, word wrap so we can see what we're doing. All right, so I need to break this down, and I need to break it into assumptions. And the assumption is going to be a scope, and it's going to be constants. And then we're going to have input, calculations, output. All right, so how do we do this? You can see that it's they're walking so many dogs. That's $5 an hour, and they want to know this. So the most important thing is to find out what our output is first. So they want to be able to find out after walking the client's dogs the following. So this is our output. So I'm just going to copy that, paste that into our output section, and fix it. So I might need a little couple more spaces in here so you can see it. So how many dogs were walked? How many hours they were walked? And then how much they need to charge. So these are the three output. So before I do anything else, I need to camel these and put them into things. So how many dogs were walked? I'm going to change that and just call that num dogs. So the number of dogs. But again, I'm going to use every word after the first word is going to have a start of a capital letter. Everything else is going to be all small. Then how many hours they're walked, that's too much words too. I'm just going to call that num, come on now, num hours. And then how much they're going to need to charge, I'm going to call that, let's just call that total charge. So what you call it is not important. You just want to make it so that it's obvious to someone looking at that that's the number of dogs, that's the number of hours, that's the total charge. You don't want to call it something silly, but you don't want to get too complex and have these things be too large at the same time. Once we have our output done, the next thing we want to do is figure out what our constants are. And if we come back up to the problem, it's going to tell us what the constants are, because you can see that we have a constant charge of $5. All right, so that we're going to call that, we'll call that, say, the walking fee. And that's going to be equal to 5. And again, we don't put a $sign on there because that's text, and we want this to be a binary 5. So now we got the constants done. We come back down and say, well, where am I going to get these three values? Total charge, obviously I'm going to have to do some math to figure that out. But number of hours and number of dogs, someone has to tell me what that is. So if they need to tell me that, that means it's input. So I simply copy these, Control C, and paste it here, Control V. So the only thing I'm going to be, the only math I'm going to do is total charge. So I can either Control C or Control V, or I can come up here and start typing total charge. And you can see that then I can select it from the list and press tab, and it's there. So you never want to type out, once you've made a name, you never want to retype it. You want to either select it from the list or copy and paste Control C, Control V, or you're going to put a typo in, and that's going to cause all sorts of problems. All right, next thing we need to do is figure out what our math is. So total charge, oops, that's going to be equal to, so if I know how many hours the dogs were walked and how many dogs there were walked, then I just have to multiply that by the fee. So that's going to be num dogs, and again, I'm going to select it from the list and press tab, times num hours times the walking fee. And that's it. We have now done the problem statement. We know each one of these that we're going to be using. That took us 5 minutes. Let's see if we could bang out a flowchart real quick. All right. So I'm going to move this over. I'm going to open up my flowchart because this shouldn't take that long. All right, I'll go back to Visual Logic. I'll continue. Demo mode. Yes. And then shrink it down so that I can go ahead and copy and paste it from my problem statement. All right, so I'm going to take this and move it over there. First thing is going to have an equal sign, so that's going to be an assignment. And walking fees on the left, Control C, Control V, and expression is 5. Next thing is I have 2 inputs. So I'm going to have an input. Input has 2 boxes, so I used to use the more. Numdogs goes on the top, Control C, Control V. And then down here is the question I want to ask, and that has to be inside quotes. How many dogs? And I click OK. Now the next one is num hours, and that's very similar to num dogs. So one shortcut you can use is copying this and pasting it underneath, and then just changing it. So the only way to change this is I have to put num hours, Control C, Control V, and then instead of how many dogs, how many hours. So you can see that makes it a little faster doing it. So you can do it either way. You can do copying and pasting. If it's not very similar, then it doesn't make sense to copy and paste because it doesn't save you any time. All right, next thing we have is a calculation. And since it has an equal sign, it's an assignment. And here I'm going to copy and paste twice. So I'm going to copy total charge, Control C, Control V, and then copy these 3, Control C, Control V. And then I have my 3 outputs. So again, I'm going to use my output symbol. First one is num dogs, so Control C, Control V, and then I need a label. So the label, just like a prompt, is going to have 2 quotes. I'm going to say the number of dogs, space. And then on the other side of the quote, I need a plus symbol, which is the join symbol between those 2. And again, this is very similar to the hours output, so I might as well go ahead and copy this, paste it underneath, and then just edit this for hours. So I'm going to copy num hours, Control C, Control V, and then instead of number of dogs, it's just going to be number of hours. Whoops. Okay, and then I have one last output. And that's going to be the total charge. That's so much different from the other 2 that I don't think we get any bang for the buck for copying the object instead. So again, I need a label and a join symbol. And inside the double quotes, I need to put what that is. And I'll say the total charge is space, and then a dollar symbol. The dollar symbol has to stay inside the quote because it's part of that label. And I'll click OK. Okay, the next thing we want to do, I can't remember, do we have any practice data on this one? I think we do. Okay, thank you. So if I do 2 dogs for 3 hours, it's going to be $30. So let's go ahead and run it. I have 2 dogs. I have 3 hours. 2 dogs, 3 hours, $30. So we can see that this works absolutely perfect. And yours should too. If you do a good job of copying and pasting in your problem statement, and then copy and paste from your problem statement to here, your flow chart should work perfectly. So the next thing we're going to do in the next video is our code. And we're going to code that directly from our problem statement.